Hedgerows have a natural and cultural importance in County Cavan. If you go back to generations in terms of the Brehon laws, in terms of the Enclosure Act, through time, from the times of the tenant farmer right through to the modern day, hedgerows have that cultural importance. But they also have a natural importance in terms of the biodiversity, the harbour and the connectivity that provides. The County Hedgerow Survey in County Cavan showed that a lot of that connectivity has been lost. There has been hedgerows that have been shown to be not complete. This means that stretches have been broken apart and that connectivity for biodiversity and for wildlife corridors has been broken. So that's the importance of natural hedgerows, and I hope that this video provides important guidance for that.
My name is Jennifer Macquarie and I work with Flynn Fernie Environmental Consultants, and in 2023 we did a hedgerow survey of hedgerows all across County Cavan, and this was with Cavan Heritage Office. It was a follow-up survey to a 2006 survey that was done, and basically we wanted to compare and contrast how hedges were doing in those intervening 17 years. So what we found was that quite a lot of the hedgerows that had been surveyed in 2006 had been removed. So over 6.5 kilometres of the hedges had been removed, and that's 4.4% of them. So that's quite a lot, and when you think of that over maybe the preceding decades to come, that would be a sort of devastation on Cavan's landscape. So we also found that the quality of the hedgerows had gone down, so over half of them showed that they were unfavourable. So that's unfavourable condition compared to what they'd been in 2006. So that would include, say, the gappiness of the hedgerows, so the gappiness had gone up. We found that the bank erosion had risen, and also that the poaching along the margins of the hedgerows had increased as well. And there was also a lot of nutrient enrichment, and that means that instead of the usual wildflowers that you would have along a hedgerow, you would have things like nettle, cleaver, thistle and dock, and they come when it has been over-enriched. The soil has been over-enriched by things like fertiliser and slurry. What we found also was that ash dieback is becoming a problem. So since the 2006 survey, obviously ash dieback has come into the country, and unfortunately it's begun to decimate ash trees all over the country. And Cavan is included in that, unfortunately. And 54% of the trees in Cavan's hedgerows are actually ash trees. So we found that a third of the ash trees that we surveyed were actually severely or significantly affected by ash dieback disease. And there were only about 4.4% that were actually of good quality or that were healthy ash trees. So with everything combined together, it doesn't look good for the ash tree, it doesn't look good for hedgerows in Cavan. However, by compiling all this data and gathering it for Cavan Heritage Office, we hope that our recommendations that we made in it in terms of better management, better conservation and more protection of hedgerows will really help going forward.
My name is Cathal Flood and I'm the Biodiversity Officer for Cavan County Council. I'm currently finalising a biodiversity action plan for the county with my colleague Anne-Marie Ward in the Heritage Office. The plan was developed over a couple of years with a steering group in the council.
So the main species that we would have found in terms of shrubs in the Cavan Hedgerow Survey in 2024 was by far hawthorn. So 93% of the hedgerows were made up of hawthorn, which is a very high amount. This was followed by blackthorn at about 53%, and then after that was holly. So they were the main shrub species, and then others would have followed, like spindle and hazel and small ash shrubs and things like that. So
my name is Alistair Pollock. We're here in Ballyhaise College at our hedgerow demonstration site here. So this started back in spring 2022, where we have 10 metres of a topped hedge plant every year. We also then start in spring 23 a tree line hedge 10 metres planted every year. So for student purposes, students in level 6 do a sustainable agricultural module, And here they learn all about, say, hedgerow planting, maintenance, pruning, I suppose hedgerow planting, establishment and maintenance. So here you can see the different stages of this hedgerow as we kind of go along down here. We've 10 metres planted every year, starting in 2022, down along to this year another 10 metres are planted. So the different stages of the hedgerow, students can visually see hedge, how it established and how you can, I suppose, improve by pruning to improve the actual structure of that hedge. So you can see that as you kind of go along down here, our hedgerow that's, as I said, has been planted now since 2022.
As part of what we survey, we also look at the flora of the hedgerows. And for example, here we've got some willow herb. So this is later in the season, so we don't have as much. But when we surveyed, we would find that the diversity of the flora has gone down, and a lot of that is because the margins out from the hedge have been sort of pushed out to the very edge, and also fertilisation has increased the nutrients of the soil, which means that you'll get things like nettles, cleaver, docks that I spoke about earlier, and those would kind of proliferate in those situations. So what we would recommend is that they be taken out maybe 1.5 to 2 metres and fenced off, especially during the summer months, because that allows the wildflowers to kind of regenerate in the soil, and it's very important to kind of have that stopgap where you're not spreading excess fertiliser into the side of the hedge. So what we have here is a young hedgerow. It's mostly hawthorn. There are some other species along it, but you would find across the country and including County Cavan that we have a lot of hawthorn. Some of that has been imported in recent times, and unfortunately it's suffering from a disease called fire blight. So what we would recommend is that people try to mix up the species that they put in a hedge. Native species, of course, there's a myriad of them out there, and they are all excellent for wildlife, and they can be managed to form an active boundary. So this will eventually grow into a higher hedge, and what we have here is quite a young hedge, so it's not going to be stock proof or anything at the moment, but if it's managed in a certain way, it will become a brilliant livestock proof hedge in time. We would recommend that people keep them 1.5 to 2 metres at least high. Often what we're seeing now is, unfortunately, hedges are overcut and overmanaged. So they would be cut into a box shape, often with a very large, powerful flail machine.
Hi, my name's John Kelly. I'm the principal here in Jago Studios Agriculture College in County Cavan. It was last year that Anne-Marie, the local heritage officer in the County Council, asked me if I'd like to represent the college and Teagasc on the Biodiversity Action Plan that was prepared. And it was a great honour to be involved in that process and meet the stakeholders from across the county that had an interest in biodiversity. Our college here is a diverse location. It's beautiful habitats, lovely hedgerows, plenty of birds, plenty of bats, and here a long time. And it's really good to be able to share our experiences here in the college and with the broader farming community with the action plan, and hope that the actions are implemented over the coming years.
So we're just here in the top of the college. You can see, looking down, you can Danley River, the whole landscape here at the college. You can see some of the more established hedges and trees that are here in the college. I suppose you can see the whole landscape here with the forestry, everything. It's a big thing here in the college, trying to, I suppose, improve on our existing hedgerows that we have here.
So often we would find that people overcut their hedges, overmanage their hedges, and it's into a box shape. So the box shape is an ornamental type of hedge. That's what the Victorians wanted in their gardens. What we're looking for native hedgerows is to manage them in a way that will conserve them, both to help landowners but also to help wildlife. Hedgerows are amazing for biodiversity. They produce a myriad of flowers and fruits and seeds all throughout the seasons, for birds, for small mammals, for bats, for insects. And by cutting them too short every year, it means that they don't have a chance to reflower and refruit as they once would have. Our machines are too powerful now, and the hedges are cut too often, so usually on a yearly basis, and I'm seeing that both along roadsides and in fields. So I suppose people think that it's best to keep them neat and tidy, but really hedgerows are fantastic both for biodiversity, but also as livestock proof hedges, and also for soaking up excess nutrients and rainwater, and they're excellent for capturing carbon as well. So they have so many benefits, and we need to protect and conserve them much better. Cavan, County Cavan itself probably has the most extensive amount of hedgerow cover of any county in Ireland, including, I think Monaghan might be the other county. And this is due to the landscape, the type of landscape and the type of traditional farming that would have been done here. But obviously over the years, with more powerful machinery and kind of increased livestock herds and stuff, a lot of these hedges have kind of been removed or overmanaged, maybe replaced with fencing. This is a perfect example of a box cut hedge, and unfortunately this is not what we like to see. We'd like to see this maybe half a metre or so taller, and to be less box cut. So if it's A-shaped, it means that it's denser at the bottom and then the light gets in at the top. You can also see where it's been cut, it's kind of shredded the tops of the branches, and over time this makes them more susceptible to disease. It lets in too much water. It makes them more susceptible to disease, and generally their health will go down over time. You can see that even the health of the hedge isn't brilliant. It doesn't bode well for the future. Like, this hedge will probably not last too long into the future if it's kept being managed like this, and unfortunately there are too many examples of this across the country. Yes, you will still get the berries struggling to come back, but it won't be the same as a nice, healthy, diverse hedgerow that you need to have on your farm to benefit biodiversity and be a livestock-proof hedge.
So I know hedgerows are very important to bats in quite a few ways. First of all, they provide a lot of insects for food. So the hedgerows that bats use are kind of jagged hedgerows that have up and down bits and in and out bits. So they don't like the A-shaped ones or the square ones. They basically, with the hedgerows that go up and down, that have trees in them, that have in and out bits, bushy hedgerows and untended hedgerows, there's little pockets of insects hiding in those places, and the bats can just go in and get the food. Another very important thing about hedges is that they provide shelter. And you'll really see it on a night like this that's wild and windy. Anywhere that there is a bit of shelter, particularly where a hedgerow meets another hedgerow at right angles, corners or jagged bits of hedges, that's where you'll find the bats, because there'll be a bit of a break from the wind. The other thing is that they shelter from light pollution, and light pollution is really a dreadful thing. Even up around us here in a rural area, you see a lot of lighting from street lamps, and what happens is some of our bats are just really intolerant of light. You know, as you see, they've got big eyes, and when the light shines into them, it acts almost like a physical barrier, particularly for our bats like our Myotis bats, our Benton's bats. It's like a barrier, stops them crossing. And the other problem with the light is that all the moths go to them, so they suck all the insects away. So the insects go to the lights, the bats are stuck in the dark areas and they're stuck there and they can't eat. So hedges are really great to have as a screen against where there's lights, you know, along GAA pitches or anywhere there's going to be bright lights. If you put a screen along a hedgerow, it's really great.
Some of the other facts from the County Hedgerow Survey include the supporting habitats near hedgerows that have been lost. For instance, in the 2006 survey, it recorded 20% of semi-natural grasslands, species-rich grasslands near hedgerows were still intact. This has fallen to 8% in the most recent survey, showing the effect of that habitat loss related to biodiversity loss. Over half of Cavan's hedgerows have been shown to be in unfavourable condition. Some of the pressures largely relate to land use change. So there has to be a focus on protecting these hedgerows and the biodiversity that they harbour, but also that farmers and landowners are duly rewarded for doing so. Part of the Cavan Biodiversity Action Plan actually looks at training for the public, but also training for internal staff in Cavan County Council in terms of hedgerow maintenance and learning about its benefits for biodiversity and the correct ways to conserve and manage these vital habitats in Ireland well.
By managing hedges in a better way, they will become more enhanced as actual boundaries. And they will also benefit biodiversity, which is the way farming is going as well, that if we improve biodiversity, then it's going to benefit your farm as well, including in terms of payment. So I think it's really important that County Cavan, along with all counties in the country, but in this case we're talking about Cavan, that hedgerows are conserved and protected because they should be seen as linear woodlands. The level of woodland in County Cavan is especially low compared even with other counties in the country, and Ireland as a whole has a very low woodland cover compared to the rest of Europe. So it's really important going forward that we protect and respect these hedgerows going forward, and hopefully our study will help in trying to develop actions that will conserve them into the future.